So for a number of years now, we have seen this rapid decline in the amount of cash being used to pay for things. We know about that, and we know that a lot of people are sort of reminding us, you've got to use cash, otherwise you use it or you lose it. But this is now being described as a cash collapse. And according to a statement, Governor Michelle Bullock at today's Australian Payments Network Summit, the cash collapse could place a huge strain on the electronic payment system, the other one that we're using. So what are the dangers of a strained payment system? John Ryan is the founder of PayEd, a global payments educator. He is at the Payments Network Summit and joins me now. Hello there, John.
Oh, g'day, Lindsay.
Thank you for talking to us about this. So, look, we've seen such a massive increase in people using tap and go, first with the cards, now with the phones, which leads to less people carrying cash. But what are some of the most recent factors playing a role in this cash collapse, as we heard today?
Yeah, well, look, we've got some really strange activity in cash. First of all, in the whole payments system across the board, we've got a very much an expanding payment system. We've got a whole lot of new payment methods which are digital. And we've got this strange anomaly at the same time that we've got a lot of cash actually being printed. So we've got the most cash ever in circulation. But what we are seeing, which is quite significant, is a very significant drop in the usage of cash. We're now at 13% of transactions are now cash, and that is expected to drop even from there. So we just do not have a lot of the number of transactions happening. Not a lot of them are now on a cash basis.
So if we have more cash than ever in circulation, yet only 13% of transactions are cash, where's all the cash? Like, is it sitting in banks?
Well, look, at the conference today, there was some suggestions that it was sitting under the mattress, essentially. And, it is a bit of a mystery, to be honest. Nobody really knows where this extra cash is, but the belief is that it's been stored away for a rainy day.
Right, so it is actually literally in circulation, as in it has been taken out of the bank. So it's been printed, it's been taken out of the bank, but it is not turning up. The chain is not being completed.
Correct. And look, this is also at a time when this year we saw 400 bank branches being closed, and we've also seen a reduction again in ATMs. So we know that that cash is not doesn't even have as many facilities to move around in as well. So yeah.
So you're at the Payments Network Summit today. You heard Michelle Bullock's address. What were some of her major concerns around the payment system in Australia?
Well, look, I think in fairness to Michelle Bullock, this was her first conference as governor speaking. Now, Michelle in a previous role has been the head of payments policy at the Reserve Bank for some time. So this is really her core space. So talking to this audience was really, really important. And what we hear from Michelle is she is really letting the payment system work itself out. She doesn't want to be a regulator as such of payment. She wants to let it all happen. So the key point that we heard from Michelle today was that she will be letting the customers decide about cash. She will not, she wants to make sure that cash does remain in the economy. And to the point earlier about the transit of cash, the Reserve Bank themselves are very much involved in that discussion to ensure that does remain the fact. So I think keeping the cash in the system is certainly one of the big focus items. One of the other areas that did come up, perhaps there's a little bit of a concern, is the stability of the payment systems overall, and particularly as we're moving into digital. There was a call to make sure that that we do have proper backup, we do have more continuity there, because we have seen some outages, and not just in payments but in the communication networks as well. So there is some concern there that we cannot, that has to be improved, and we have to get better at that.
We need to have some redundancy in case if it is all digital, if systems go down, we need to still be able to buy stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is one of the benefits of cash, as people always say. We've seen it many times where the networks go down, and if the merchant can take cash, and if the person has cash on them, then business continues. But if we do get to a point where we don't have enough cash to move around, and businesses don't accept it, this is a question. We haven't, in the digital side of payments, we haven't really solved the offline capabilities yet. So this is, we have to solve this really in the future.
And so when we talk about a strain on the payment system and the electronic systems, I guess when you think you've got your FPOS machines, your point of sale machines, you've got your phone or whatever the app is. So you've got those, so many different companies involved, so much different technology. Is that like, what else is there? Is there more to it?
Well, look, I think one of the key points to note is that the industry has had probably one of its busiest years this year between those outages, but also, as I mentioned, the growth, the expansion across all the payment options. As you rightly said, we've got real-time payments now. We've got this new Pay2 system coming in. When you check out on online now, you as a consumer have so many options, and supporting all of them, is the strain, and understanding what are all the options we're going to have there in the future as well. Because
I have no idea what the difference is between PayID and PayPal and Apple Pay and all. I don't know where it's all coming out of somewhere, and it seems to work.
Yeah, look, and that's why we started up the business of PayEd is purely for, to educate, because, when you go back 15, 20 years, it was pretty straightforward. We had cash, we had a card, we had checks. Now we're moving, we're trying to fit in all these other payment systems and also replace some of the ones like checks. So that's certainly something we talked about today. Checks will be no more in Australia by 2030.
I'm going to miss, no, I'm not. I love the idea of a checkbook, but I never really got to use one. So that's one of the. What about the other thing, of course, is if you don't have the cash even in your account, the buy now, pay later payment systems, which I think is making up more and more of people's everyday spending, just as, credit cards did when they, were up until this point. And Michelle Bullock mentioned the possibility of new laws that would target some of the costs of buy now, pay later systems. So why is this something that Michelle Bullock's flagged as important?
Well, there is a lot of concern about buy now, pay later because it has come in as a payment later option as opposed to a credit option. So it is, they have realized they have to do some updates with the regulations. One of the areas, and perhaps the low-hanging fruit part, is to focus on surcharging. So where today as a consumer you may pay 1 or 2% or maybe 3% for using your credit card at the merchant. What Michelle is suggesting is that you will be able to surcharge the merchants will be able to surcharge the customer at that point of sale to say, look, we're paying 5% or whatever it is, so therefore we want you to contribute to that point, up to the charge that they're paying. So it will be big news if that happens, and certainly the consumers, I would suggest, would be taking note if they were having to pay such a fee at the point of sale.
Absolutely. Look, I'm speaking to John Ryan, the founder of PayEd, which clearly I need a bit of education on how global payments and just payments here work. You've also just attended a panel at a summit, at the summit. The panel was titled "The Big Debate: Should Australia Be Cashless?" And that is certainly a big debate. What sort of issues were identified during this debate? What did you talk about?
Well, look, really we covered it was a little bit of fun at the end of the day in to some respects, but we've got 500 of the top payment professionals in the country at this event, and some international people there. So we did get to cover off on a wide range of topics here. So what essentially we're seeing is that well, first of all, I just announced the winner of the debate, if you like, was the against, which was it won't be cashless. So that the cash won the day in the debate, and they won it because I think they brought up a lot of reasons, and I would suggest the points that they were making was around resilience. Of the systems and of the nature of cash, the way it is fungible and it doesn't need power and so forth. And also then we talked a lot about trust, because trust is very key to any payment system. And that was brought up today as well, even in the digital space. So if by maintaining trust in whatever payment system, then it is used. But if you don't have trust, the payment systems. We've seen that across in many countries, where people, the citizens, actually move away from payment systems if they don't, if they can't rely on them.
Yeah, interesting. So there has actually been like a whole citizenry kind of pushback against certain payment systems, internationally speaking.
Well, yeah. The example given a debate was in Zimbabwe. When they had
multi-million-dollar notes and things. Yes,
exactly.
Massive hyperinflation.
That's right, and we're seeing sort of similar things, I guess, in Argentina too. Yeah. So yeah, it does happen, but certainly the Reserve Bank is very interested in this, and I would say applaud the Reserve Bank, because they're really, they are letting this agenda run, and they're supporting the best for the consumer. So they want to have a safe and secure and less frictional experience for the consumer, at a good cost as well. So they are looking at things like least cost routing, where that's where when you tap your card, that the cheapest fee gets applied on the card. So things like that. So they are focusing on that, and they want to make sure that that the best thing is done by Australia here.
Yeah, and that sounds like something that a lot of people would certainly make them trust the system a little bit more if they knew they were getting the least fee possible.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, to add one other point here, Australia, the point that came out in the debate as well, Australia is one of the leading digital adoption payments countries in the world. So, it's certainly something to be, I guess, somewhat proud of here, because that means we lead the way on innovation. And, it does mean we experience some issues, but we are dealing with them here as well. So I think it is a good story. Australia, is playing its part as we move forward in this way.
Well, that makes me feel good. Excellent. John Ryan, thank you very much for talking to us today.
No worries. Thanks, Lindsay.
John Ryan from PayEd, global payments educator, who was there at the